Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of Speed Racing Network. What's going on? We are out here at Talladega Superspeedway for week one of Speed Racing Network's Xfinity Series playoffs. I'm here with my broadcast partner, as always, Dean Brummett, buddy. How you doing tonight?
Doing all right, Jake. Super excited for this race here this evening. If you tuned into our Speed Racing Network broadcast last night for the Truck Series, you got to see an awesome event here for the Talladega days. What was it, Jake? 135, something like that. I can't even remember, man.
Right.
It was too exciting, man. I mean, you just everything played out for some great racing here, and in the end, my pick, Byron McDonald, came home with the win. And Jake, tonight we're going to go through here for 60 laps at Talladega Superspeedway with one fast repair. And the big thing is the difference between tonight and last night. You've got to keep out of the big one even more tonight.
Exactly. Having one fast repair, it's you can't let it happen to yourself. You don't want to get collected in the big one because at that rate, if you're one of these playoff drivers, Dean, it can ruin your first round and make things tougher to advance. But here you go. This is the overview of the league. We've got a 20-week schedule. We are in week 14, the first week of the playoffs. Every single driver on the track has a fixed setup, so that means at the end of the day, man, it is just the nut behind the wheel that's going to make the difference. Like we've said, they get one fast repair, and it's a $10 entry fee per week, leading out to having weekly as well as season payouts, Dean. And man, I mean, you see it right there, $500 if you're the championship winning driver. That's a pretty big payday, especially when you consider we're on iRacing. That's awesome, as well as the fact that there's that $200 team championship, which is split up between 4 or 5 drivers, depending on how many guys you got on your team. So, Dean, I mean, money. That's kind of the name of the game here.
Yeah, Jake, and tonight it's definitely going to be a whole lot of strategy. You're going to have some help from some guys behind you as well as the guys around you. Like you mentioned, trying to stay out of the big one just to try and punch your you won't punch your ticket to the next round of the championship playoff right here, but you can definitely dig yourself in a hole tonight at Talladega. And if we're talking about digging holes, somebody who's decided to dig a hole for themselves this week is our own Aaron Gurwitz. He's decided to go through with a new segment that we've started here at Speed Racing Network called Matching Wits with Gurwitz.
All right, this week on Matching Wits with Gurwitz, we have the number 85 Xfinity Chevy Camaro for Bronco Motorsports, Gregory Joyner. Greg, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you, man?
Oh, we're just doing good. But how did you feel the season was this year?
Man, it was pretty good. Had a lot of top tens. We were pretty consistent. That was mainly the goal, just to get into the playoffs. We ended up winning the regular season championship by 1 point to my teammate Rhett Tucker in second. So that was pretty cool. Hoping that the playoffs go just as well, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, in the playoffs, anything goes. And speaking of your top tens, you had 10 of them. 10 out of the 13 weeks you were in the top 10. That is pretty consistent.
Yeah, man. That's all I was really shooting for. So hopefully now I can get a couple wins, but we'll see what happens. My luck for getting wins is just not there yet, but hopefully soon enough it will be there.
Yeah, you've shown the speed all season long. And like you said, you're the regular season points leader with 1 point above your teammate, Rhett Tucker. And what is your team atmosphere like? What are you guys doing on a week-to-week basis?
Man, it's great. We, we all get together and practice throughout the week. And, it's always uplifting. Nobody has their chin down about it. It's always chin up. And everybody helps each other out, trying to make each other faster. We all work together during the race throughout, like, pit strategy and things like that. And it's definitely shown. We are first in team points right now, which is pretty damn cool. But hopefully that lasts as well. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Everybody on the team's nice.
Yeah, which brings me up to my next point. You guys are the team points leader at 1,549. You have Tank Racing right on your tail. So you guys gotta maintain the consistency through these playoffs to maintain that lead.
Yeah, unfortunately, our teammate Nicholas Goen, he works a lot throughout the week and on the nights. So I know he's going to miss this week as well, but he's missed 3 or 4 races to where he couldn't be there. So, we've got to be on our P's and Q's every week to make sure our 4 drivers get great finishes every week. But so far we've done so.
Yeah, by the looks of it, you guys have done a heck of a job. And my last question is, how did you get involved with Bronco Motorsports?
Another league we race in, where me and my buddy Nathaniel Mon, we've been friends since I can remember, and we actually had just started league racing and met a guy named Chris Massey, and he's actually our team owner. So he asked us to come race for him. I had no idea what SRN was, or it was MSM at the time, and he said it was a great league, and it is, and invited me on as a team captain for the Xfinity team, and we've had a great time so far. Hopefully next season they'll invite us back. I hope, because I'd really like to run it again.
Yeah, for sure. The season was definitely fun, but that's all the time we have, Greg. And as always, we'd like to thank our guests coming on for Matching Wits with Gurwitz, and good luck tomorrow night, Greg.
Yes, sir. Before you go, I'd like to thank Sandwich Man Racing Sports Memorabilia. Please be sure to go check them out on Shopify, and Shoney's as well, and everybody at Bronco Motorsports and everybody at SRN for doing their thing.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you, sir.
And there you have it, Matching Wits with Gurwitz. Another great segment here, Jake, as we get to hear from your regular season points winner in Greg Joyner. And, Jake, we were talking here earlier at the top of the show about the payouts. Right here, we're looking at what the weekly payouts are going to be. This week, we're going to pay out 4 positions, and first place is going to win $40. Second place will be 30. Third will be 20, and fourth will be 10. So a pretty easy payout structure this week here, Jake.
Oh, absolutely. And, the pay window is open, so these boys are going to be going after it for 60 laps. But again, we talked about that team championship as well as obviously our season payouts for the individual standings, and those are all brought to you by Griffith CPA firm. So we always, appreciate the support from any of our sponsors, especially Griffith CPA, showing these payouts here. And first place is going to get $500. Second will be $300. Third place is going to be $200. Fourth place, you get $150, and then fifth place, you get $100. So that's about half of your, or that is half of your weekly entries of the entire season. That's $200 for a whole season, so half your money. And then if you're on the winning team for the team championship, that's another $200. So you split that between 5 or 4 guys. That's even more money, as well as if you were in the top 5 for the drivers. Dean, there's money to be had.
Yeah, Jake, and there's a little bit more money to be had, for the guys who didn't quite make our playoff system. We do have a second tier playoffs for those guys that did not make the cut, and basically with this is sponsored by Flavor Bomb. You can visit them at fbbbq.com. With this, Jake, this is awesome, a great way to try and keep some people around to say, hey, don't go anywhere just yet. We know your season's over, but you don't have to run on us.
Yeah, exactly. There's still something to run for. And another thing these drivers are going after, even if they're outside of the playoffs, is going to be that Buck Kicker Clean Driver Award. This is an application that you can put onto your sim racing rig. You hook it up to, if you got a, actual racing seat or even just an office chair, you hook it up to that, and it kind of just, creates any sort of movement or feeling you would feel in your seat if you're actually sitting inside a race car, on the track in real life. So, always heard great things about this. So that's going to be given out to, all 3 series, the cleanest driver to the lowest amount of incidents per lap. If you aren't able to win that, you can go ahead and use our discount code on Buck Kicker's website, SRNVS20, to save yourself 20% off your entire order.
Yeah, Jake, and another great thing here that we have with Speed Racing Network is our coaching sessions with Kane Cook. Kane Cook is actually a Coca-Cola Series driver, which is the professional series for iRacing for the NASCAR platform. And Kane has agreed to come along with us here with SRN and do some coaching, help some drivers out, especially if you go through and let's say that during this 20-week season, you may struggle at this track or this track type, or you're just a little bit off of the speed. Kane can definitely help you. He's iRacing's resident hard charger, basically meaning that more often than not, he's passing a lot of cars, passing them cleanly, and making his way to the front of the field. So you can book those sessions at speedracingnetwork.com, be it for solo, duos, or even we have group rates as well, Jake. Awesome
thing that Kane provides for our league. And another what we're leading into here is going to be the Tropical Smoothie Cafe Team Championship standings. Leading off is going to be that first team of Bronco Motorsports. You see them with the 3 wins. They've got a 113-point lead over second place Tank Racing, who as well as had 3 wins, including last week's winner Zachary Taylor at Richmond Raceway. So that they're trying to close that gap up, and then a few points behind Tank is going to be Roel Smith Racing. They've got those 2 wins, so that they're in the hunt. But really, I think it's just kind of a 2-team show at this point. I think there's just too many points for these other teams. With Rev Racing, they've got 1 win as well, in 4th place. Then you got Team SRN. They don't have a win like you see R&D Motorsports having, but they've just been that consistent as a team. So collectively, they're coming home with better points finishes. And obviously, R&D Motorsports rounding out our list here in 6th with that 1 win. So Dean, it's kind of go time for these Bronco Motorsports and Tank Racing teams to kind of close out the deal.
Yeah, Jake, and I tell you, I never count anybody out, especially with the races that we have left. You never know what can happen in racing. And, as we move from the team standings, let's look at the individual standings. These are your drivers who are going into the playoffs here, Jake. Up front, you got Rhett Tucker with 3 wins. For Bronco Motorsports, Zach Taylor there in second, last week's winner. I mean, they're tied for the top. Daniel Bowdler in third, Jovi Sagiped for RSR, Marshall Stanley for Rev Racing, Greg Joyner for Bronco Motorsports. I mean, you got a bunch of great guys here, Jake, all the way down to Josh Marcy. But I tell you, rather than giving you all the names right here, why don't we take a chance, Jake, to kind of meet each of these drivers, and we'll go through them one at a time.
Oh, let's do it. I love it.
Well, Jake, first up here, like we said, we mentioned Rhett Tucker. He's got 3 wins for Bronco Motorsports. Like I said, he won 3 short tracks, managed to go through and, be at the perfect place at the perfect time. And so in doing so, he's run well all season, and it's going to put him P1.
Yeah, and the driver that's tied with him, actually, because first place is a tie, is going to be that 14 car, Zachary Taylor. You see him, he's got 3 wins for Tanked Racing. Super consistent. He's got 2 poles, an average start of 10th, as well as his average finish of 10th place.
Yeah, Jake, I mean, very, very consistent there for that driver 14. And coming up next here in third is going to be Daniel Bowdler for R&D Motorsports. He is actually the second place driver all time in wins for Speed Racing Network with 6. This year he's got 1 win, a very dominant one in Atlanta. So he's rounding out your 3rd spot.
And next up in 4th place is going to be Jovi Sagiped. He's got two poles on the season, including 1 win at Las Vegas Motorsports. You see him there for Roel Smith Racing. He's led more laps than anyone else in this league so far, with 201 laps led. He's got 5 top 5s, Dean, and 8 top 10s. So this dude has been pretty consistent all season long.
Yeah, Jake. Yeah, Jake, next slide here that we've got is actually going to be Marshall Stanley in the 25 car. Kind of coming in and stealing my number from last season. He's got himself a win for Rev Racing. He's rounding out our top 5 in the points, very consistent. Has had a little bit of rough luck. There's a couple races that he could have won, should have won. I know that I might have played a little bit of a spoiler on one down in Homestead, but Marshall was a very consistent driver, and one I'm not going to count out until that final checkered flag falls.
Oh, not at all. And with Marshall Stanley, man, you got to be very careful. If he gets into the second round of the playoffs, we go to Coda, Dean. You and I both know how well he drives on those road courses. I mean, if bearing anything freak happened to Marshall at Coda, that could almost lock himself into that championship 5.
Absolutely, buddy. And next up, you've got our 6th place driver, Greg Joyner. You saw him on the Matching Wits with Gurwitz segment here for Bronco Motorsports. With Greg, very consistent again this season, Jake. He's going to come into this thing with 2,005 points because we offer bonus points based off the season. His best finish this season has been second, so he is looking for that elusive first win. But like I said, now's the best time of any to go and get that first one.
Yeah, then what better feeling to go out and win at Talladega? But this next driver for the playoffs is going to be Ryan Dukem, the 7 car for Roel Smith Racing. You see him here tied with Gregory Joyner for 6th. He's got 1 win as well on the season, and that was at the other restrictor plate track, Daytona International Speedway. And on the year, he's got an average start of 10th place and an average finish of 11th. So to me, that just shows he's been very, very consistent. Obviously, with those 5 top 5s, Dean, and 7 top 10s, I mean, Ryan's been up front all season long. But unfortunately, a story that it's hard to say, but he's not going to be here tonight, so he's not going to be able to go back to back on the super speedways.
Yeah, Jake, but he will, just because of registering for this race, be credited with a last place finish. So not all is lost. Those couple extra points you get for last may be the difference in you making the next round and not. And one person here who's definitely trying to make that next round is going to be Mike Lepicki. Driving here for, what is that, tank racing? Yeah, tank racing.
Correct.
See, look, I remembered how to read, Jake. Mike is actually one of our Speed Racing Network originals. Actually, he finished second in the points in what we originally called Mid-South Madness, but it's Speed Racing Network. And he kind of had a little bit of an off season last year, Jake, and this year he's back. He's never actually won one of these sanctioned races here, but that tank racing group, they are just absolutely crazy when it comes to these plate tracks. So I expect to see him up towards the front before the end of the night.
Yeah, I got to agree with you there. And this next driver is going to be the 8 car on the screen is going to be Dylan Patterson driving for R&D Motorsports. Obviously, you see him, his best finish so far is going to be second place, but he's got 5 top 5s, 7 top 10s with an average finish on the year of 12th place so far. Personally, man, I really think Dylan Patterson is got a lot of raw talent. He's very fast. I think he just there's moments where he just makes just a little bit of a mistake, not picking the right line, things like that. And I think we could have seen Dylan Patterson win a few races. One that really sticks out to me is Phoenix. He was very, very fast. I think he just pitted a little too early. So I think if he can, hone all of that in, I think Dylan Patterson can really make a run in these playoffs, Dean.
Yeah, Jake, for sure. And another guy who's going to make a heck of a run here is actually going to be the 33 of Devin Zimmerman. Devin this season, Jake, I know this is going to sound crazy. He doesn't have a single top 5. His best finish has actually been 6th. But he's had multiple top 10s. He's been able to keep his nose clean in a lot of races. He's had some incidents that were not of his own doing that have just wrapped him up in other people's wrecks and kind of given him a bad night. So, we mentioned tank racing at just a few moments ago there with Lepicki. It could very well see that team work together, and you could see this 33 up front as well.
Absolutely. That's something we saw at Daytona this season as well as in Mid-South Madness. His tank always works together. But here you go. Our 11th place driver in the playoffs is going to be that 13 car of Bo Tiffany. He's got an average start on the season of 21st in all these races, and he brings it home 13th. So he's definitely moving through the field. And that's his thing, it's a slowly but surely process with him. So that's always what you want to see. Obviously, with 7 top 10s on the season, Dean, Bo Tiffany is just one of those guys that's extremely consistent. You don't really see him put himself in any bad situations or, anything like that, hitting the walls and things like that. So Bo Tiffany, if he's just able to get through Talladega cleanly, avoid the big one, man, I think he's going to advance just with, his racecraft of, being just super consistent and clean.
Yeah, buddy. And I tell you, another one here been super clean this season is Aaron Gurwitz. We've seen Gurwitz, unfortunately, kind of like we mentioned, so many of these other drivers caught up in other incidents that were not of his doing. He actually doesn't have a single lap led this season, doesn't have a pole, doesn't have a win, but he's got 5 top 10s. But I tell you, man, if he's going to be competing for this championship, he's going to need to be putting together some top 5s and possibly a win or 2. But like I said, he's made this playoff. He knows what he's doing. And like I said, consistency is key, especially when you've got this wild card race up front.
Exactly. And, I think that's the thing we keep talking about with a lot of these guys, man. You see it here with Nathaniel Mon. His best finish is going to be 4th. That's his 1 top 5 on the year. He's also got 2 top 10s so far this season. But again, it's the consistency so far we've seen through these guys with the regular season. But man, now that it's the playoffs, anything can happen. It's almost like a new season. So you got to watch out for a guy like Nathaniel Mon. Again, he's just always putting his car in the right place at the right time. And again, it's just, you get through Dega and then Kansas and Dover for these drivers to end out the round or the first round of the playoffs. These guys can make moves and advance and sneak by these guys up front that could be making mistakes.
Yeah, Jake, and I tell you what, coming in here in 13th, we're going to have Emerson Ardon, another Tank Racing driver. Once again, no wins, but he's got 2 top 5s and 3 top 10s. Or I'm sorry, Jake. Actually, looking at it here, he's got 1 top 5 and 4 top 10s. And in having that type of a consistency, we usually see him start towards the back, work his way up to the front, as Tank Racing tends to do. Very methodical, and we're going to see that team work together, as we mentioned multiple times in this playoff group.
Absolutely. And last but not least is going to be Josh Marcy, driver of the number 35 for Roel Smith Racing. He's the last man in the playoffs, Dean, but I can tell you right now, he's not just happy to be here, man. He wants to make a run into these playoffs, go far, as far as you would think about his 2 teammates, Ryan Dukem and Jovi Sagiped. Last week at Richmond, man, he raced his way into this playoff. He's got 2 top 5s, 3 top 10s on the season. I tell you what, if you want a dark horse, if you're a betting man, this 35 car is showing a lot of speed at a lot of the similar tracks that we've gone to so far this season.
Well, there you have it, SRN fans. That is our playoff grid. So let's get tonight here, Jake, to our starting grid for the Talladega Days 160. On the pole, not looking to start out back. He wants everything that he can get as quick as he can. You've got Devin Zimmerman there for Tank Racing. To his outside, you've got Dustin Scruggs for Roel Smith Racing with a great qualifying effort. Danny Dow, one of our Team SRN regulars here in 3rd place. You got Josh Siegfried for Rev Racing in 4th. Josh Marcy from Roel Smith Racing, you just mentioned, Jake, they're in 5th, and Troy Tuckmeyer for RSR in 6th.
Absolutely. And in 7th place, you got Tank Racing's Michael Lepicki, as well as in 8th place is going to be Rhett Tucker for Bronco Motorsports. 9th place is going to be Zach Taylor. So that's 3 Tank Racing drivers in the top 9 to go along with the 3 RSR drivers in the top 6. So, these teams are ready to go. They've got, playoff drivers as well as some of their other drivers up front ready to work together. Now, 10th place is going to be Daniel Bowler in that 6 car for R&D Motorsports. 11th is going to be Daniel Keith Jr. in the 23 for Team SRN. And he's got his teammate right behind him, Dean. In the playoffs is going to be Bo Tiffany and Team SRN. And again, I just want to point out to these fans, you see these numbers, some of them are green, some of them are orange. Those green numbers are going to be our playoff drivers tonight, as well as, moving forward through the playoffs. And then everyone else that's not green is, outside of the playoffs in that Flavor Bomb Barbecue second-tier playoffs. So, Dean, buddy, the pace car is off, the field's rolling, we're getting ready to go. I'm going to leave it up to you. I think I know who your pick's going to be from last night, but, obviously some people might not have watched. So who's going to be that pick for you tonight?
Well, Jake, I tell you what, last night picking a little further back in the field worked well for me, and I was going to pick Daniel Bowdler, and I love Daniel. He's a good buddy of mine. But I tell you what, man, after winning Sunday night in our Cup Series race, in the 25 car at Richmond, I got to bump a little further back in the field, and I'm going to take Marshall Stanley in that 25 car tonight.
Wow, so you're throwing out your pick from last night. You're leaving the 6 open to pick. But, buddy, someone I'm going to go with that I think is going to win this race, I think it's going to be that 85 car of Gregory Joyner from Bronco Motorsports, Dean.
Yeah, and Jake, I tell you, it's such a wild card here to be able to try and pick guys. Any other racetrack that we would go to, right now I'd be taking Devin Zimmerman being the pole sitter. Any other racetrack we went to. But Jake, with Talladega, you get these plates on these cars, these restrictor plates, they're going to be tightly bunched together. You're going to have guys searching for air, guys moving around, and you never know what this 150 miles that we're going to race here tonight is going to have in store for you.
Oh, absolutely, and that's the thing. No, all the credit deserved to be for Devin Zimmerman getting the pole. It takes. Obviously, it's not like you just get handed it. So Devin Zimmerman's going to lead us. But again, Zimmerman could start on the pole here, and with one lap, Dean, he could fall all the way to the back of the pack. That's just how it works here at Talladega.
Yeah, Jake, it's hard to tell what we're going to see here tonight. I know that the biggest thing we mentioned at the top of the show is avoiding the big one. You do have your one fast repair in case that it happens, but Devin Zimmerman's going to lead us down here for the green flag for the start of the Talladega Days 160. He gets on the green flag. Dustin Scruggs does not get a very good start on the outside. Danny Dow glued right to the bumper there of Devin Zimmerman on the inside.
Yeah, the outside kind of got a little stalled out there. Zimmerman with the big jump. He's going to let Danny Dow get clear of him and be right behind him. As you see these drivers work through 1 and 2, Dustin Scruggs on that outside was able to get to the inside. Danny Dow already going to make a move to the outside of Devin Zimmerman. This is the choice. What does Dustin Scruggs do? Does he stick with the 33? Or Does he go to the outside and leave Danny Dow hanging? And so far, man, that 21's left out to drive, but here comes the 66 of Joshua Segfried up behind him, Dean.
Yeah, Jake, you want to get as much as you can, as quick as you can here, because when it comes to these cars, a lot of the times these drivers will kind of have a gentleman's agreement to kind of get single file, and you don't get to do a ton of racing once you get into a nice green flag run. But right now, you've got this group up front, 2 by 2 by 2, almost the entire length of the front stretch. Back behind them, you see 2 cars just kind of falling off the pack there, and a few more guys on the inside just kind of lagging back right now just to see what happens. And that time by, Jake, it looked like Danny Dow led that particular lap.
Yeah, it definitely did that making the move there for Danny Dow. And when you're Danny Dow, you've won in this league, last season. You're not in the playoffs. There's no better feeling than coming out here and taking one from all these playoff drivers, especially at Talladega.
Josh Hickford going to make a move right down in front of Danny Dow. You see Zach Taylor up on the high side, trapped out of the draft there, Jake, and now that's going to allow Daniel Ballard to move up on the back bumper of Brett Tucker, start to try to move that high line momentum up front to push him. That outside lane not very organized right now, and the inside lane's a little wiggly too. So right now, some nerves that it looks like these guys are shaking off here as Josh Siegfried is going to lead lap number 2 here at Talladega.
It definitely is, but that outside line is rolling right now as you got Brett Tucker getting pushed by the 6 car. Daniel Ballard, as they go through turns 1 and 2, they were making some ground on the outside, but it all stalls out, and that's kind of how it happens, especially when you got no one else right behind you. Like the distance between the 23 and the 6 car, as you see the 23 kind of hanging out a little bit to the right side of the 6, but they're trying to make it work. And if you're Daniel Ballard, it's a matter of how much longer can I be pushing this guy before my temps are starting to overheat. And that's kind of where you got to get rep clear, or you got to just kind of bail out from the plan and let your car cool down so you can get after it one more time.
Yeah, Jake, there's definitely 2 schools of thought when it comes to these plate races. Some guys want to go through and they want to be super conservative up until the end. Some guys want to be aggressive and lead everything that they can. As you see, Daniel Ballard look like he's going to leave Rhett Tucker, but falls back in line with him. I think more than anything, like you said, Jake, I think he kind of tucked out there, get a little bit of air to the grill just to try and cool that down. But in the process of doing so, it's going to kind of stall this outside lane out just a little bit. But I think they're going to be okay as you see Danny Dow leaving just a little bit of room between he and the 66. So that's going to let this outside form up again, get another big push as you see him start to go 3 wide. Looks like Zach Taylor's going to get himself hung up on the outside again, Jake.
Oh, we're going to be 3 wide, though, Zach Taylor. Trying to make it work all by himself, though. Don't know how that's going to work. When he got lined up cars behind you on the inside, it's going to be tough. He wants to make it to the front, but, without a dance partner up there on that high side, man, it's going to be hard. But Rhett Tucker is going to get himself clear of that 66. So that's going to make Daniel Ballard the leading car in the outside lane with the 23 of Daniel Keith Jr. behind him. So right now, and he's going to almost get clear of Rhett as we're not even into the backstretch here. But Daniel Ballard, he's kind of had bad luck the last 3 weeks, Dean. Here he is up front. You and I know he loves these restrictor plate races, so it's not really a surprise to see him up front.
No, Jake, absolutely not. And he's going to be getting that big shove from Daniel Keith Jr. down the backstretch. Like we said, still 3 wide with Zach Taylor stuck on the outside.
I tell you what, though, it's actually pretty impressive what Zach's doing, hanging tough all alone on the outside. If these were the trucks or the cup cars, it makes you wonder, how much would he have fallen back? But I think he's just kind of getting enough momentum, and he's really pinching those guys on his inside, so they kind of have to lift. And he's able to keep that ground, and if he can just get someone to peek up there with him, man, I think that third line could work.
Yeah, Jake, I don't know. Right now I think it's a great time to try to experiment to see what a third lane can do, to see if it's viable. But at the same time, with only 1 fast repair, as you see Marshall Stanley drift up just a little bit, get close to Zach Taylor's inside. Right now, it's kind of one of those things you want to have it in your pocket for the end of the race, but you're just not. If it's me,
I tell you, man, he's making it work.
He is, buddy. He's moving down there and getting that little bit of side draft just all up there. Oh, a little contact with him and Daniel Keith Jr. See, that's what we talked about. You have got to be careful right now. And he is, I don't know, Jake, that car just looks a little loose to me through the center of the corner off. So, Zach Taylor definitely got to be careful here. You do not want to be the guy to cause the wreck in front of the field. And I think if he can.
Marshall's trying to let him in, but Zach doesn't want to get down there. I think Zach wants to make it work all by himself on the outside, Dean. Marshall Stanley's been lifting, giving him the space, but Zach is not taking it. But here we go. We see him dip down in the line. So another 2x2 for the front 6, 7, 8 rows. And I mean, it's at this point, man, it's like following a train around this track. You know, it's kind of just logging laps, letting them click off. You know, before if we do get there, you know, green flag pit stops.
Yeah, Jake, and I know last night the drivers could go about 20, 22 laps before they needed to pit. I don't know quite what the fuel economy is on these cars tonight. I'd imagine it's going to be probably something very, very similar. I know that these cars are going to turn higher speeds, higher RPM, so a little more fuel consumption. But like I said, we'll see that pit strategy play out here through the night as Daniel Bowdler is going to get just that little bit of edge here. He's going to lead that time by, take the lead from Rhett Tucker.
Yeah. And so we were talking about the fuel mileage. I can tell you right now on the 6 car, leading the outside line, he's got about 25 laps of fuel left. So that would bring him to about lap 33, and that means, you know, it's going to be a one-stop race, especially with him being up front, you know, punching that hole through the air. He'll burn more fuel than everyone else. But, I mean, you look back here in the back of the pack, we've got a two-car breakaway, or, sorry, not breakaway. You know, just kind of bailing out from the main pack. You got Stan Hausman in the 39 and Bo Tiffany in the 13. So that, you know, that's one playoff driver there. That 13 car, he doesn't want to be up front and risk it, Dean.
Yeah, Jake, and I tell you another driver that I've got my eye on right now, one of our playoff drivers. I'm not certain if he had missed the start of the race or not, but Dylan Patterson is actually going down the backstretch right now as the leaders are coming here by the start-finish line. I mean, he's doing about 180 miles an hour. The leaders are coming around about 190 miles an hour, so the draft makes a huge difference here. And if you're Dylan Patterson being one lap down, you have got to be super careful here, Jake. You have got to hope more than anything that you see an early caution to get you that lap back, because if you wind up going 2 laps down here...
Oh, we're going to go 3 wide into 3. Daniel Ballard didn't want that 66 taking his spot on the outside. And Daniel Ballard shuffles the 66 up. Joshua Siegfried's going to move. You know, he's going to fall like a rock in water to the back of the pack on that outside lane. So Daniel Ballard, man, you know, it is early, but, man, he wants to control his race and his fortunes up front, man. And here comes that 14 car again, popping out to the outside line now. This time he's got Marshall Stanley coming up behind him, trying to help. We see Danny Dow move up in front of Daniel Ballard. So here we go, Dean. These guys are getting racing now. We're hitting lap 10.
Yeah, Jake, they're going through, and they want to see what these 3 lines can do. You've seen the bottom, you've seen the middle. Zach Taylor and Marshall Stanley say, hey, we want to see what's going to happen up top as they go through here down the back straightaway at Talladega Superspeedway. 3 wide. 3 cars on the outside, looks to be about 4 or 5 there in the middle, 4 or 5 on the inside, and you're going to have a heck of a battle coming through here, but you've got to watch to see what this air is going to do to these cars, Jake.
Yeah, you aren't kidding about that 14, man. It's like a quarter of the way through that corner, it just snaps loose, and it's pretty wicked to watch. But I tell you what, I see 2 cars right behind this main pack. It's that 84 and the 85 on Nathaniel Munn and Gregory Joyner for Bronco Motorsports. I mean, I think they got the best seat in the house to watch the show in front of them. And at the same time, man, they're in the perfect spot.
Going to be tight here. Ooh, man. So, didn't mean to interrupt. I saw Joby Sagiped looking under Daniel Keith Jr., and I didn't know if Daniel Keith was going to get up to the high side or if he was going to stay where he was. But I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead, continue.
Oh, you're good. I mean, those 2 cars, they're right there behind it. But at the same time, you see the only car behind them is that 57 of Emerson Ardon. So if anything happens in front of them, they just lock it down, you know, hard on the brakes, downshift. You're not going to get run over. You're not going to run into the wreck. So they're in the best spot right now.
Yeah, Jake, and I tell you right now, we've completed 10 laps here at Talladega, going to be coming down to complete lap number 11. Up front right now, you've got Danny Dow, like we said, the SRN regular, trying to spoil the playoffs for these guys as they get a little racy down the tri-oval here at Talladega. Keep in mind, Jake, the start-finish line, not in the tri-oval like it is at Daytona. It's a couple hundred yards past. So that can definitely make for some exciting racing towards the end. As you see Zach Taylor still just trying his darndest to make that outside lane work. And I think right now he's kind of got some drivers a little curious, kind of wanting to go with him just to see if that can be the hole that they can punch to be able to go, as he kind of gets left up there all by himself. I think Josh Marcy's trying to let him in.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the thing, you know, when you got this few cars in the race, you know, with the front pack's about 16, 18 cars. So, you know, even if you fall back to the pack, you know, it's easy to make up, especially with pit stops happening. And you know, oh man, Rhett Tucker moving up in front of Daniel Ballard, but the three
Daniel
and the six
Ballard
are
gonna make
going to
it
go to
three
the
wide.
outside. They're going to go 3 wide, and Zach Taylor going to go with them. So that's going to leave Rhett Tucker all alone on an island in the middle of the pack here as we head through 1 and 2. Every single driver on that outside line is going to leave Rhett Tucker hanging. Unless these guys drop down, but they kind of. Oh, and I'm surprised they do that because now you leave Zach Taylor up high on the high side with help now, and that's risky business there. But we see the 6 and the 3 who moved down in front of Danny Dow. So a lot of moving and jockeying around up front, Dean.
Yeah, and with all that shove that Daniel Bowdler had, as much of a move as what he made, Jovi Sagiped's going to be to his outside, and he's going to have a lot of high-line momentum. We're going to see who leads it this time by, but I think Jovi's going to have all the push he needs. As you see Zach Taylor move up the middle now, this time by at the line, Jake, it's going to be Jovi's going to lead this time by. 3 wide behind him.
Yeah, it's going to get hairy here as they head into 1. Rhett is right there on the door. The Zach Taylor for that, outside 4th place, so to speak. This is getting pretty racy. This is fun to watch. I mean, it's been all clean so far. We've gone 14 or 13 full laps around Talladega Superspeedway, and these boys are ready to go. So I can only imagine, when this thing gets to about 40 laps from now, when there's 6-7 laps to go, Dean, we're gonna see some crazy moves pulled.
Yeah, Jake, you definitely will. And right now, I mean, it's pretty calm out there for what we can see at these races. I tell you right now, when you go through and you look and, we're going to see a little bit of a squeeze here on the front straightaway. Jovi Sagiped going to move down in front of Rhett Tucker. Zach Taylor is out there. He's getting the help to a degree, Jake. A lot of people are letting him in. You're not going to get that same return at the end of the race, but I think right now he has definitely piqued the interest of some of these guys to say, "Hey, I'm not scared of the high lane. Let's go for it if we need to." As you see the pack slowly approaching Dylan Patterson here down the backstretch.
Yeah, this is going to get interesting because we got Dylan Patterson, that lap car you were speaking about, up here in the middle of 3 and 4, and our leaders are just now going into 3. So this is always an interesting opportunity for these leaders when they come up on a lap down car, what lane they pick, where they go, and how that affects. These guys have been 2 by 2, but sometimes they've been 3 wide. So, when you're that lap car, it's like, well, where do I go? But I'm sure Dylan Patterson's going to get out of the way, let these leaders do their thing as we, head into 1.
Yeah, Jake, and I was about to make the mention that these guys look like that they had kind of chilled out just a little bit in terms of this up front racing, but this is going to be close here. As you're going to see Dylan Patterson come off of turn 2. He's going to move all the way against that yellow line, and it's going to force Rhett Tucker to take a 3 wide here, and the rest of the field is going to have to scramble behind him, Jake. This is going to be interesting to watch getting into turn 3 as Jovi Sagiped. There's a big block on Rhett Tucker heading down there.
Yeah, these boys are racing like it's the final lap right now. I mean, they were fanned out 4 wide there. Getting around that lap car, it's like no one's content driving. We're lap 16 of 60. You got a long way to go, especially if you got to use that first fast repair.
Yeah, Jake, but right now these guys are driving their hearts out and to the most entertaining way that we can. This time by, Jovi Sagiped's going to lead, but Daniel Bowdler's got that momentum on the outside. He's got 3 cars kind of fastened together. Got 2 of them fastened to the inside. Dustin Scruggs for Roel Smith Racing. The 3rd car on the inside just kind of peeking there. You don't want to push the guy who's pushing another guy just for worry of getting both guys super loose here, Jake. But right now these guys are giving a lot of respect. You're starting to see them wiggle around a little more, and as the fuel burns off in these cars and it kind of picks the rear end up just a little bit with less weight, you're going to see these guys wiggle a lot more.
Oh, they definitely are. You burn off the fuel, the rear end gets lighter. That's what Daniel Bowdler right now is telling Danny Dow is it's getting really, really loose out of the corners when you give me a shot right outside corner exit. So the 6 is getting loose from these big runs, and again, Rhett Tucker going to get left out to dry in the middle as these cars all fan out to his outside and inside, and that's going to make the 81 fall back until he can either squeeze into the inside or outside lane. But again, that 3 car and the 6 car are leading this thing up front with Daniel Bowdler dropping down, kind of leaving Danny Dow alone. Kind of surprised you do that with only 1 car behind you in that lane with Rhett Tucker. That's going to allow these guys up on that high side. They've got 5 cars as opposed to 2. There's a lot more energy to be had up on that high line. Daniel Ballard could lose this, P2, the first car on the outside position, Dean. Kind of shocked to see that.
Yeah, and you start to see these guys form up just a little bit more, and you kind of wonder here, Jake, where is the strategy going to really come into play? You know, the drivers I see playing the biggest strategy right now are a little further back here. You've got Greg Joyner and Nathaniel Mon sitting about a second and a half behind these guys, with Emerson Ardon right there behind them. Yeah, you see them, the very last the last 3 cars up there. They're watching these guys go 3 wide, and just like you mentioned, they're saying, hey, if this big wreck happens, we want to be able to try and slow down, miss it quicker than anybody. But Jake, 3 wide again up at the front as you start to see these cars wiggle around. Danny Dow pushing Rhett Tucker on the outside. Marshall Stanley pushing Daniel Bowler in the middle. Dustin Scruggs pushing Joby Sagipet on the bottom as they work into turn 3.
Yeah, you got 3 RSR cars all on the inside line, lined up behind one another. Joby, Dustin, and Josh Marcy. So they're all working together, trying to figure this thing out. Green flag pit stops are coming up, and no better thing to have teammates with you when you dive down pit lane. But again, man, we see this 3-4 wide action, and it's pretty tame. Even though up here in the booth it looks a little nerve-wracking, when some of these guys make these moves and they really squeeze one another down into the corners, but right now it seems to be the 3 and the 6 are kind of in command of these 2, the 3 lanes. Whoever of these 2 are on the outside kind of hops and skips from one lane to the other, and just kind of controlling this race right now.
Yeah, and for the fans at home who are watching this race, this is just some amazing action we see. You're going to see these positions, these drivers, you're going to see them change lap by lap. And if you look up at our ticker at the top of the screen, the drivers that you see in green are our playoff drivers. And if you're just too focused on the action on the track, you'll notice some of our drivers are carrying a red rear spoiler on the car and a red banner with the driver's name on the windshield. Those will also denote the playoff drivers. So some cool stuff that we've had here in terms of our painters this week, Jake, to go through, be able to help the fans keep track of who is who out there.
Oh, definitely. And it adds to the broadcast. That way, if you're not able to always keep an eye out on that ticker rolling across, you can look and say, okay, this guy's got the red banner across the front windshield or the spoiler. That means he's in the playoffs. But at the end of the day, too, for these drivers, to see your car with that red banner and spoiler, it kind of gives you a pat on the back kind of moment. You got yourself into the playoffs. You put all this time and hard work into it. You're one of the 15 guys that has that. That means, you're one of the 15 best in this series. So, props to you, and just kind of enjoy the moment, right?
Absolutely, Jake. As we begin to see this 3 wide, Rhett Tucker. Oh, it may be 4 wide here in just a moment, Jake. Oh, goodness. Danny Dow had a chance to take it 4 wide, and he thought better of it. I'd say the field probably tips their hat here to Danny, but Jake, right now we see 3 wide. At the start of the race we saw 2 wide. Into this race we may be seeing 4 wide action here at Talladega.
Oh, I wouldn't put it past any of these guys with how racy they've been so far. And you see that outside lane, that 81 to 21, working really, really hard. The 21 all over the back bumper. Rhett Tucker, Danny Dow giving a huge shot into 3 and 4, but they're just not able to kind of come out of the corner and have a huge run down this front stretch. And that's kind of just where their runs are stalling out right now is, they get door to door, but then, the inside in that middle lane just have more energy, and they're able to kind of slowly but surely pull away from them, Dean. If you're going to go the outside, man, you have to be committed 100%. I know it's lap 23, and obviously they could just be, trying things, but at the end of this race, if you're going to that outside line, I mean, you got to not lift, put the foot to the floor, and, at that point, you're going for the win at Talladega, and there's no better way than making it 3 wide on the outside line.
Yeah, Jake, I tell you, one driver right now that's actually carrying one of our onboard cameras is Aaron Gurwitz there in the 09. Let's take a look and see what he's actually seeing. He's riding back here just a little bit, but just to kind of see what it looks like here at Talladega. You can see all these cars up in front of him, and, right now, you'll probably hear the throttle. He's probably not completely in it, just kind of sitting here up high, watching these guys 3 wide in front of him. But, this track, you just look how fast. Look at Troy Teichmeyer there on his inside, how fast he just gets a pull up here as these guys go 2 wide in front of him. And like I said, Jake, it all happens so fast here. And if you are Aaron and you see the slightest little puff of smoke in front of you, you got to have your spotter in your ear telling you where to go, whether you need to hit the brakes, get high, get low, what you need to do here. And it is a full team effort here at Talladega.
Oh, it really is. And that's the thing, right? You got some teams that only have 2 or 3 drivers in this race, but then you got some teams that have got 5 or 4 drivers. So, you know, at the end of this thing, you know, we could see that really come into play. You know, you get that many cars lined up in a line, and it makes a really, really big difference. And again, you see Daniel Badler in front of 3 RSR cars on the inside line, and you know that it's kind of a sense of security for yourself, knowing your teammates behind you as well. So you don't have to worry about getting run over or, you know, shoved into the corner or someone trying to peek their nose, make it 3 wide behind you. So, you know, kind of as little as it's possible, you know, it kind of relieves that stress factor for you when you're running around here at 190 miles an hour.
Yeah, Jacob, one thing that's going to play in here in just a few moments, you see these guys kind of chilling out, saying, hey, let's go ahead and get back to 2 wide. You're going to be having those green flag pit stops coming up very, very, very shortly. And you're going to have a lot of these guys trying to fight for this bottom lane. Now, we haven't heard any radio chatter saying that anybody's pitting, but, you know, one big thing you're going to see on pit strategy, you may have seen it from some of our camera views as you go on board here with Joby Soggyped. Look at the back bumper of Daniel Badler. It's kind of pushed in just a little bit, and iRacing will register that as damage eligible to use a fast repair on. So if you're Daniel Badler, you have got to be confident enough to go through and say, hey, if I go through the pit, I need to make sure I tell them not to use my fast repair, because I don't want to use a whole brand new race car for a rear bumper.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You got to make sure you got it on click, especially on green flag pit stops. You don't need to waste it if you got no damage. I mean, right now these guys only have about a couple more laps, so if they're not saving, you know, like I guarantee you this 85 and 84 are running behind the pack, they're not going to be able to make this a one-stop race. I mean, Daniel Badler right now showing 1.9 laps of fuel left, and he's not even at the line hitting lap 27. As we
Brad
see him
Tucker's
going to
duck down the pit.
First one. And man,
Jake, I think Rat Tucker just came by himself. He came with Dylan Patterson.
He's only got one other car. That's like what we saw last night in the truck race. We saw 2 guys be the first one, and you just lose way too much time, Dean, when you come in with only one dance partner. You're not able to draft as much as those guys that are going to be coming in with this big pack. As here we go, we got the 21 of Danny Dow yelling out, saying, I'm coming down pit lane. I need some fuel and tires. And he's stuck on the outside. Daniel Ballard, Joby Soggyped screaming, hooting and hollering to these drivers, Dean, so that you know what this is the money stop. You know, if these guys think they can save enough, this is going to be the one and only pit stop, unless we get a yellow later on in the race, Dean. So this is going to be interesting right here to see all these guys manage getting down on the pit lane.
And here we go, Jake. It's the money stop. Joby Soggyped burning it. I think, yeah, Jake, I don't know if Joby made it.
Got to make sure you don't hit anyone else. They all do a really good job.
Oh, Jake, I think Joby got it, buddy. I think he made it onto pit road without speeding. It looked like Dustin Scruggs actually let him down. He was the first car to actually be in that little pack there. As we take a look back up front, you see Zachary Taylor pushing his teammate, Devin Zimmerman, around Marshall Stanley. This group of guys right here, Jake, they are going to try that fuel strategy. They're going to try to stretch it just a little more. And, you know, if you get green-white checkers at the end of this race, it can mean a lot. But right now, these guys have got to be they got to be conscientious enough to say, hey, we need to know that we got to be pitting soon. And you saw it out of Joby. You don't want to lock these things up getting onto pit road, because more than likely these guys are not going to take tires as you begin to see that second group hit pit road. You're not going to take tires, Jake.
Here we go. Our second half is on the pit lane, Dean. I'm not going to lie, these guys kind of seemed a little bit slower than that first half of the pack. So we're going to see how it times out when these guys. It's just kind of weird watching this race. We've got guys just coming out of pit lane and no one else really flying around the track. It's a little odd to see at Talladega Superspeedway. But you see there, the 3 RSR cars, they nailed pit entrance. They nailed coming off pit, and that's why they're running 1, 2, 3 here with that 6 car, Daniel Badler. Now it's a matter of, I'm not surprised they're not kind of checking up so they can get pushing one another, and that's really going to help them out with the speed factor. And I think these guys are going to come flying by this first pack. These guys that are pitting right now are only going into turn 1 on the apron. And, these guys right here on the screen are coming full speed. So it's going to be an interesting blend. I think a lot of these guys back here are going to fall off the lead pack and really, really have to work to kind of catch back up, Dean.
Yeah, Jake, and here's the big thing with it. I mean, you saw a lot of these guys pit lap 27, 28. Saving fuel is going to be hard enough of a task all on its own. You're looking here, if you want to go to the end of this race, if you're that second group of guys, you're going to have to pull about 31 laps worth of fuel. And you may very well be able to pull it off, but you're going to lose so much time, Jake. I mean, Talladega is one of the few tracks you have to drive as hard as you possibly can, because a green flag pit stop can be the difference. And like we said, you see this little group right here. You got another group behind them that will catch up in a quick hurry. But what was originally close to 15, 20 cars now kind of goes down to a group of about 10 guys, and the rest, you see that second pack about a quarter of the track back who's going to be left to try and race their way back up here.
Definitely, and we're sitting here talking about the fuel, and you see this second pack. If you're trying to run down the leader, there's no way you're saving fuel, right? So what do? Do you kind of just say, all right, well, a strategy to beat them if there's no yellow is just sit here and slow down, run a slower pace, save fuel. But then, if these guys up front are able to save that fuel as well, you're still stuck sitting, 4 to 5 seconds behind the leaders. So you kind of got to make your mind up really quick and figure it out, because you don't want to wait till, there's 15, 10 to go to say, all right, now it's time to get up there, because you could run yourself short on laps to get back up to the front, Dean. Because it's not going to take 1 or 2 laps. It's going to be a methodical process for this second group to really catch these leaders, because there's, 11 cars up front, and there's only, 7 back there in that second pack, Dean. So the numbers are in the favor of this front group.
Yeah, and Jake, right now with this second group, I mean, that last time by, they were about 2/10 slower than the lead pack. If they got together right now and they just line these guys up single file, don't get racy, don't get double file. You've got Emerson Ard on there right behind Derek Da Silva. If you take your fastest guy and you put him out front, you push that driver as hard as you can until your car overheats. You move outside, you let the next guy come up, and you push as hard as you can. You can get up to this lead pack. You will eventually get to the point where that lead car starts to catch that draft and you don't have to push as hard. But at the same time, Jake, kind of like we saw some of the guys fall to the back earlier in the race, this could be one of those gifts in disguise, so to speak, the slower pit stop, especially if these guys get racy up here in this first pack and wind up going around in the big one.
Absolutely, and that's the thing. We see that second pack was able to knock off a 10th off these leaders. So, they're doing it slowly but surely, but, they're 4.9 seconds behind. So if they're only catching them 1/10 at a time, that's 49 laps of, 1/10 at a single lap pace. So they're running out of laps. We've got 29 to go here at Talladega Superspeedway. So they've got to be, taking chunks out of that lead to be able to catch them. And it's going to be tough. But again, we don't know if these guys are going to be able to make it, Dean.
Yeah, Jake, and if you're that second pack, you need to be eating about 2.5 to 4/10 per lap out of that lead group. And as these guys get double filed, Jake, that will help them to pull up as well, just because there's less energy in those lines. And it may slow them down 1-2 miles an hour, and those guys single file further back will just kind of start to eat into it a little more. Another 10th that time by, but up front right now, it's kind of gotten a little calm right now. You got Rhett Tucker leading. He's going to have Dustin Scruggs right behind him, Jovi Sagiped behind him, and Josh Marcy there, the 3 RSR cars lined up single file on the inside.
Absolutely, and again, those 2 drivers that we pointed out that had lost the draft, it's going to be that 13, the 39 of Bo Tiffany, and the 13, the 39 of Stan Hausman. They're 41 plus seconds behind the leaders, so they're really, really hoping for a yellow flag. It's it's pretty much impossible for them to catch the leaders. Obviously with only 2 cars. Bo probably wanted to make that call himself. That's his teammate behind him to not get in any accident. Probably didn't think this race was going to, go 34 green flag laps, but you never know. We could have a huge wreck with 3 to go. All these guys are going to get damaged, have to use that fast repair. And Bo Tiffany would be able to stay out as the leader and, be in command of this race. So, what might not look so good so far on lap 34, come lap 45, Dean, you just never, or sorry, 55, you just never know how this thing's going to play out.
No, you never know. Jake, I tell you what, looking up front with these 2 guys, Rhett Tucker and Dustin Scruggs, they got some pretty flashy looking paint jobs here. Rhett caught my eye a few weeks ago with that 81 car. He's got a lot of chrome down that blue. It's a very reflective metallic type of blue there on the 81. And right behind him with Dustin, I mean, the green on that car, it's the same way. You can kind of see the reflections and everything come off of it. I was actually looking pre-race, and I realized him and Jovi's paint jobs are basically identical, just kind of color swapped with one another. And those RSR that paint group there for Off Apex Designs, Jake, you got us a good painter there for sure.
Yeah, and it's actually it's been awesome. You know, these cars look good. They're running up front. You got 3 of them in the top 4. So, you know, if things work out, we'll see how it shakes out. But, I mean, it's going to be a race within the race, right, Dean? These guys, I just don't see them making it on fuel. We've got 26, 25 to go this time by. And, you know, these guys that are in the middle of this front pack, they've got 23, 22 laps of fuel left. I just don't think you're able to be, you know, running this hard at this track of all to save that much fuel while trying to keep in touch with the leaders, because you don't want to lose the draft and fall back to that second pack, who is still, you know, they're over 6 seconds behind, Dean. It's they're hoping to see that yellow flag come out. They've lost their pace, and it's really just going to be this 11-car front, you know, pack. It's going to be an 11-car race, so to speak.
Yeah, Jake, it looks like Aaron Gurwitz and Marshall Stanley kind of they kind of got a little fed up here with some of the guys in front of them not drafting to the probably what they felt the best of their ability, and those two hooked up, got to the outside, and now they're leading that field around as the 5-car before Derek DeSilva was. And the problem right now with Marshall, you know, is he's trying to push Aaron back to the front, but he's just overheating so much. He's trying to tuck the nose out to be that guy to say, hey, you know, I'm going to lead this pack. But if you are that second pack, Jake, you know, 6.5 seconds back, at which point do you guys kind of get together and say, hey, we're really not catching anything right now. Why don't we go ahead and just come on down, top off our fuel tanks, and know for a fact we make it to the end?
Yeah, you know, that's something you can do, because if the leaders go first and then you have to do it, I mean, you got to be lights out, getting on and off pit lane, you know, and that's the only way you'd be able to make up time. And I mean, being able to make up, you know, they're behind by 7 seconds now. That's a lot of time to have to make up. You know, getting on and off pit lane. Not saying it can't be done, but that's just a lot of time. When you factor in, we see all these drivers were able to get down cleanly into pit lane. So, you know, it kind of makes you wonder how this thing will shape out. I mean, if you're in that second pack, I'd kind of fall to the back and just say, hey, you boys tow me around this place. I'm going to try and save every ounce of Sunoco race fuel I can to try to win this thing on fuel strategy at this point.
Yeah, Jake, and I'm telling you right now, as much slower as what that second pack is. I know we keep focusing on them because up front it's pretty calm up here. You know, running a half second or so off per lap, they might save that 1 or 2 laps, maybe 3 that they need. I know that's a lot of fuel, right? That's a ton of fuel to have to save. But just as far off as they are, Aaron Gurwitz right now being the leader of that group, unfortunately, it does not bode well for him. But for the guys that are behind him, kind of drafting, saving that little bit of fuel, that might be the strategy to win this race tonight, Jake. Just staying out, hoping for the best.
Yeah, absolutely. And you never know. I wish I could see their numbers on fuel. To be able to save that much, whew, I don't know. We will see, though. But I tell you, one guy that's not going to be saving fuel is this 81 of Rhett Tucker, being up front, leading the front pack, going as fast as possible. You're in the gas constantly. You are not saving any ounce of fuel. So Rhett, you know, he might be thinking, man, I'm leading this thing with 22 to go, and all of a sudden, with 5, 6, 7 laps to go, he peels off into pit lane and he looks in his mirror and he's a lone wolf down there in pit lane and he's going, what the heck did I just do? You know, I threw this race out the window. So you got to be really careful about that. You know, this is where guys that just kind of they're thinking outside the box are able to just, you know, not saying Rhett's not one of those guys, but, you know, he's been up front so far for a while, so you know he's burning more fuel, but that's where just, you know, that experience factor for a lot of these guys. I mean, it's kind of going to be the storyline of this race. Obviously, they're logging laps up here in the front. No one's really getting racy like we saw in that first green flag run.
But, Jake, here's the big thing that you have to also keep an eye out for. If you'll remember, Rhett Tucker pitted before anybody else did. He came down as just kind of a lone man with Dylan Patterson. So, you know, Dylan was a couple laps down. And so Rhett is one lap off of what the rest of these guys are. So, Jake, between that and leading this field, I see no way that 81's going to make it to the end.
Yeah, the only way he would is, you know, they're going to be catching this 13 and 39 of Bo Tiffany and Stan Hausman. They're right there, you know, about a second in front of them going into turn one. You know, if he lets these guys get in front of him, he can save fuel, but I just don't think he can save that much fuel. I got to imagine, you know, that's going to be a lot for him, but You know, Dean, one of these guys on the outside line, I don't know if you've seen this yet, had a little tidbit. I wonder if we can kind of get the rear or the chase view on this 85 car, Gregory Joyner. He's got a little special message for us on his back bumper. Let's see if we can get there. Dean, I think you're going to like it if we can get it.
Well, we might be able to get a cockpit view of Nathaniel Mon right behind him.
Yeah, let's see if we can get on board inside the 84 car, and he's going to pull up right behind him. Dean, I don't know if you can read it.
Thanks, Dean and Jake. Well, you know, I tell you what, he's running that Dale Earnhardt Jr. throwback paint scheme this evening. You know, so I think, Jake, that you know, to avoid any trademarks, we will say that this adult beverage belongs to us. How about that?
There you go, buddy. So, but yeah, you see the 13 and the 39 on the outside line. That means they're getting lapped. That's obviously not what you want if you're both Tiffany being in the playoffs. But, you know, as long as you stay in front of Stan Hausman, you know, you'd get that lucky dog. And I got to believe with those two cars being teammates, that Stan's, you know, going to say, hey, man, I understand you're in the playoffs. This means, you know, more to you to get this lucky dog. So I don't think he'll pass them as they'll get down onto this low side and get behind these leaders.
Yeah, Jake, and you got another lap car way up there ahead in Dylan Patterson. And man, after you just see those two guys go a lap down, you know Dylan's out of the running for the lucky dog right now. So the big thing here is for him to be able to get back on the lead lap at this point, he's going to have 4 cautions in the next 18 laps, which is, you know, I just don't see it happening. As you see, almost contact between Danny Dow and Jovi Sagiped. I mean, Jake, you think about it, we've run 2/3 of this race with not a single yellow to be displayed. So these guys said, you know what, we've got some business to take care of. Let's get in here and get this thing done tonight.
We got 2 tank racing cars making a 3 wide on the outside around Danny Dow. It's going to be the 14 of Zachary Taylor and Devin Zimmerman in the 33. So I think they're ready to go here. I think they. Oh, Danny Dow kind of blinks out. That's never a fun sight to see, especially here at Talladega in the draft like this. But Danny Dow again. Oh, you don't want that to be the reason for a yellow, something like that. Gotta hope he kind of just gets into the back of the line. That way there's no yellow caused by something like that. But now he's holding steady. And again, Rhett Tucker up front. He's got Dustin Scruggs right behind him in that 11 car. They're going to catch Dylan Patterson really, really quick. And Dylan's holding that yellow line. So these guys are going to dart around him to the outside. And for some of these guys, they might not notice it until the last second.
Oh, this could be close, Jake. We're going to... Oh! That was Bowder and Zach Taylor, and they saved it, Jake. What a save. That was
Danny Dow blinked out.
Danny Dow having some internet issues here, Jake, and you know he hasn't had them at all tonight. So hopefully those will dissipate very, very quickly, and we don't have to see Danny Dow being asked to move to the back of the field here because he's been up front contending all night long. But what a save there by Daniel Bowder and Zach Taylor.
Absolutely, and that was really, really nerve-wracking to watch for all these leaders, you know. And he's still blinking, man. I don't. The admin needs to let him know because this is this could ruin these races for these guys right here. We almost saw it happen with the 14 and the 6. So you got to hope at some point they let him know because you don't want this to you know, cause an issue. Obviously, Danny Dow, it's out of his control with the internet, but right now. These guys are coming down to 15 to go, Dean.
Jake, I think right now the guys who are in the catbird seat is the RSR group. I mean, you've got 3 of them lined up right behind Rhett Tucker. They're taking the shortest way around this racetrack. They're tucked in right behind the leader. They're each drafting off of everybody. And they're just saving as much fuel as possible. As you see Zach Taylor trying to move Danny Dow to the outside here, trying to move that outside lane all by himself. And you know, if you're those RSR guys on the inside and you're trying to play the stretch it to the end here game, they very well might wind up completing that pass.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to pause there. Just listening to race control. Letting the 21 know he's blinking. He's giving him one more chance to get it under control, or else he's going to have to fall to the back of this pack. And up front, though, it's still going to be that 81 car, Rhett Tucker, Zachary Taylor, tucked up right behind Danny Dow. I mean, it's not a fun thing to be because you have no clue where that guy is, and when you're on the inside line, you don't know where the driver is that, you know, that's blinking. So it's it's pretty nerve-wracking for these guys. And it keeps saying it, but like, I mean, this is it's a scary sight to see in your rear view or your windshield.
Yeah, and Jake, here's the thing. Even with the internet issues that the 21 is having, may not be that terrible of a thing. If he moves back here to the back of this field, he gets to save a little more fuel. So, you hate to see that wind up happening. You hate to see race control have to get involved for anything like that. But just for the quality of the racing product, yeah, it looks like now they're telling him to move to the back of the field, or to the back of the pack. So, Jake, may not be a terrible thing for Danny Dow in the end. We'll see how it plays out.
And I tell you right now, the second pack is 17, almost 18 seconds behind. So, Dean, I kind of wonder, it'd be interesting. Obviously, we can't do it, but to pull one of those guys up and kind of see if they're, obviously we can't because they're racing, but, it'd be awesome to know if they are trying that strategy of, dropping their pace so much to save that much fuel to make it to the end, because they've really, really fallen off, Dean.
Yeah, Jake, and I'm not certain if it's, like we said earlier, if it's fuel saving. I'm not certain if it is. Ooh, as we see Devin Zimmerman get real loose off the back bumper of his teammate Zach Taylor. Zach's going to try to challenge for the lead on the outside, and I don't think he's going to get it this time by, because Devin's going to have to come back and push, but he's going to get there, Jake, and I think this time it's going to be close. And at the line,
that's going to be
it looks like it was Tucker. Yeah, Tucker by about 3/100ths of a second here, Jake. So, these guys up front, they're getting racy. Like you said, these tank guys, they may be ready to go ahead and say, hey, we've got the fuel. We know we've got the fuel. It's looking green. And, Jake, here's the thing. If a caution comes out between now and the end of the race, regardless, everybody's going to be hitting pit road to top off those tanks.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's the thing. If we do see the yellow, everyone's coming down pit lane. But if we don't, who's saved, who hasn't? This is awesome to see. This race has been crazy. Honestly, it's really cool that we've gone green flag so far. We're coming to 11 to go, and they've all been under green flag racing situations. So I believe it's never happened in Speed Racing Network history to not have a yellow. I hope I'm not jinxing it, but man, wouldn't it be something? The first race of the playoff team, we have no yellow flags, flag to flag, all green flag racing.
Well, Jake, it just seems like every time that we wind up going through and getting into these races, we find some type of a record to attempt to set, whether it was Cole Martin leading flag to flag a couple weeks ago, or possibly here green flag, flat or flag to flag on an oval. Obviously, we don't run caution flags on any type of road course, as it looks like Zach Taylor makes a big move there in front of Rhett Tucker to get down low.
And honestly, for Rhett, sorry, my mic was on mute, though. It was funny. But for Rhett, it's something that he wishes probably happened a while ago. Because like we said... Oh, big wreck!
Oh, trouble down the front straightaway. Here we go, Jake. First caution flag of the night.
Wow.
Devin Zimmerman involved. Dustin Scruggs involved. Greg Joyner involved.
And how the tables have turned, Dean Brummett. And here we go. The strategy's out the window. And all these drivers.
If you were those guys a little further back in the pack, Jake, this is the happiest that you could have been. If you're these guys who are up at the front of the field, and you missed that wreck, it may have made you happy as well. As we take a look at the Sandwich Man Racing Sports Memorabilia wreck replay, couldn't really tell what set it all off from that angle.
Yeah, it was right here through the tri-oval. We see Zach Taylor out front getting pushed by Rhett Tucker.
Jake, I believe it is our good old friend Netcode.
85. Got on two wheels there.
Yeah, Jake, I right there, it looks like Devin Zimmerman kind of turns to the left, and I swear to you, it looks like that the 85, we're going to slow it down here. It almost looks like that the car reacts to a bump that really didn't happen. He's moving up here to give him a little bump draft. He's moving up, and just watch how this car just kind of shoots to the left here, as he's about a good 1.5 feet off his bumper. And as he does, it just kind of turns him. Not yet. And boom, there he goes. He starts to get loose. Well, no, Jake, I tell you, that was kind of a combo there, buddy, between Devin coming down, Dustin coming up. And, I thought
85 went for a ride, Dean.
Yeah, in full speed, Jake, it looked like netcode, but right there, buddy, I think I'll have to recant my statement. That was just two cars racing for the same piece of real estate. And In the end, a few of them wind up getting caught up here. So let's take a look here from the helmet cam of Greg Joyner. He sees him go around. He almost misses it. Tries to save it here, but gets turned into the outside wall. Goes on the spin cycle. Ricky Bobby style down for the start-finish line.
Absolutely. Talladega Nights references. Gotta love it. We got a race off pit road, though. Looks like Jovi Sagipet is going to beat Rhett Tucker out for the lead. That was pretty close. You know, we see this replay again here. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Dean. Man, the 85 almost went airborne there. I think the 11 was just coming up, and at the same time, the 33 was trying to close the room between them. And you know, when two cars are coming together, naturally they're gonna hit one another, and that's what caused our first yellow flag of the race. And you know, it was brought to you by Sandwich Man Racing Sports Memorabilia. And I recommend go check them out on Shopify. They've got awesome die casts. You know, they got new ones as well as pre-owned and hats, T-shirts, anything like that. So, you know, they've got all kinds of great stuff on their website, and make sure you check them out on Shopify.
Yeah, Jake, I actually made an order from them a few weeks ago for what they call their lunchbox special, and it comes with a bunch of die-cast cars in it. You know, I'd kind of told them the drivers that I kind of grew up watching, and man, I tell you, I got a little bit of everything. He sent me Dale Jarrett, Davey Allison, Neil Bonnet, some of the coolest Jeff Gordon die-casts I had ever seen, including his very final race at Homestead in the 24 car. Got that die-cast, his 97 championship. I mean, just some awesome stuff there. And I tell you what, he's definitely enjoying watching his driver, Rhett Tucker, lead some laps here tonight. And up front, Jake, you're going to actually see here, I'm not certain if with Stan Hausman and Dylan Patterson, if they are going to stay out here to get this wave around where everybody else pitted. But we're either going to see them come to pit road to top off fuel, or they're going to take this wave around. And it looks like actually Hausman's going to go ahead and come down, but I think Patterson's going to stay out, try to get one of those laps back and try to stretch that fuel just a little bit.
Yeah, you know, if you're Patterson, you have to, because if we get another yellow here, you're battling Stan Hausman for that lucky dog spot, and we see the 35 with Josh Marcy come down pit lane as well. So, you know, one of the drivers that was in the top 5 right there coming down pit lane again. You kind of wonder if, you know, maybe made a mistake of not selecting fuel or anything like that, because, you know, he was running 5th place at the time when this thing goes back green, and he's back down in pit lane, so kind of interesting to see. But yeah, here we go, Dean.
Yeah, lights are off on the pace car. Dylan gets that wave around here, Jake, and you know, we haven't had a chance to really go through the field here this evening, so let's go ahead and go through the field. You got Jovi Sagipet, who started in 16th up in first for RSR. The Bronco Motorsports 81 of Rhett Tucker to his outside. Marshall Stanley in the 25th, or in the 25, another big mover from 14th to 3rd to his outside. Nathaniel Mon, 20th to 4th. Inside on the next row, Zach Taylor in the 14 car for Tank Racing. Josh Siegfried on the outside to 66. 7th is Troy Teichmeyer, just slowly, surely, quietly been moving through the field this evening. Emerson Ardon there in 8th from 15th starting position. Greg Joyner, we saw involved in that last wreck, used his one and only fast repair, Jake. He's up to 9th from 17th, and rounding out your top 10, the 09 of Aaron Gurwitz. And some notable mentions right there behind him: Devin Zimmerman in 11th, Daniel Bowdler in 12th, Derek De Silva quietly been sitting there in 13th all evening, Daniel Keith Jr.'s in 14th, Mike Lepicki in 15th, Danny Dow in 16th. Hopefully those internet issues will clear up for this final run to the end. Dustin Scruggs in 17th, Josh Marcy in 18th, Bo Tiffany in 19th, Stan Hausman 1 lap down in 20th, Dylan Patterson now going to be 1 lap down in 21st. So Jake, there's going to be your whole field here coming back to the green at Talladega.
It's going to be wild. You know, they say cautions breed cautions.
And Jake, hopefully we only see the one tonight, but man, I tell you, we saw an exciting finish last night. That pace car is going to be off here for only the second time tonight, Jake. The whole field kind of stacked up behind Jovi, and right now he's in the catbird seat. A lot of inside momentum will be built. Not nearly as many cars on the outside, but a long front straightaway here through this tri-oval. Not time to get back into the gas just yet, Jake. So we're going to creep along creep along, and then Jovi's going to hit that gas, bring us here to the green flag, and here we go, Jake. We are going to be racing again at Talladega. Green flag is out.
Yeah, green flag is out. These two are going to be side by side to the line. Rhett actually kind of getting his nose a little bit out front of Jovi Sagiped, but that inside line is the shorter way around. So 3, 1, and 2, the 3 car is going to pull a little bit on the 81 on the inside, and here comes the help from behind. It's going to be the 25 of Marshall Stanley. The 14 is Zach Taylor on his inside, as well as the 81 and Nathaniel Mon, his teammate, 2 Bronco Motorsports cars on the outside line. But here comes a Rev Racing car to the third line. That's going to be the 66 of Joshua Segfried.
Yeah, Jake, we talked about it earlier at the top of the show. Zach Taylor was trying his darndest to get that outside lane to move to make it 3 wide. We said we just thought it was a little bit early for it at that point. It's right on time right here now. Josh Siegfried, unfortunately, going to get hung out to dry there. But, Jake, give it another lap or two, and you're going to start seeing these lines all come in. There is no take it or no give anymore. It is all take as Marshall Stanley pushes Jovi to the line. 6 laps to go here at Talladega.
That's 6 laps. It's going to seem quick, but when you're sitting in the seat of one of these cars as a driver, man, it feels like an eternity, especially for the leader. For Jovi, man, you just hope it continues to go the way it's looking. But these guys from behind, the runs are going to become bigger. The energy is going to become faster. They're going to go 3 wide. Someone is going to have to use that outside line. You cannot tell me no one wants to try to go 3 wide here at Talladega Superspeedway. But we're 2 by 2 for 4 rows deep through the middle of turns 3 and 4. Dean, we're coming to 5 laps to go for the Talladega Days 160.
The energy on the outside lane, Jake, almost as much as what you're putting through in the booth here this evening. I guess I'm going to have to match it here as, like you said, we come down to 5 laps to go. The outside getting a little bit of a push. Jovi Sagiped leads that time by. Rhett Tucker getting a heck of a push here, though, from the 84. The 84 is going to have to duck out here for just a little bit of air, and Daniel Bowdler is going to move back to his back bumper. That allows Jovi to move up here, Jake. Well, if you're Jovi, at what point do you look into throwing blocks, or did you maybe tune into last night's truck race to see how some of those blocks played out?
Yeah, I think, you kind of hold constant right here. No one's able to really kind of get further out in front. It's been side by side, and I tell you what, that 6 car right now, if he tries to make a move to the outside, I think he's going to be left to dry because he's got 2 Bronco cars in front of him. The 85 of Gregory Joyner behind him, and the 4th car on the outside. So if he goes, man, he's getting left out in the dust with 3 Bronco.
Oh, trouble front straightaway.
Oh, no, what a save.
Trouble on the outside. Here we go, Jake. Big wreck on the front straightaway. Marshall Stanley goes around. Daniel Bowdler goes around. Emerson Arnold, Nathaniel Mon. Oh, Jake, I was just about to make a comment on Marshall Stanley on the inside about how much of a box, unfortunately, he was kind of caught in. You saw Nathaniel Mon on the outside was peeking his nose out a little bit to get a little air to continue that very hard push that he was given to Rhett Tucker in the 81, and Marshall really couldn't make that same move. They're stuck on the inside, and just kind of looks like maybe he drifts up just a little bit, not quite expecting Rhett to be there. They make some initial contact. Nathaniel Mon shoots to the outside.
Wow, the 85 of Greg Joyner just drove through that wreck that happened right in front of him.
Well,
don't know if you can see that, but my goodness, Dean.
Oh, I have a feeling we're going to see it in a minute, Jake. But the 84 just kind of moves to the outside, kind of expecting the wreck to move back to him. And Daniel Bowdler had done the same, and unfortunately, he comes across the nose of the 6. The pit road exit cone is a unwilling victim. Devin Zimmerman looks like he missed it on the inside. Jake kind of drove over that drainage grate down there, so. A big wreck here. Cautions breeding cautions at the Talladega Days 150.
Yeah, this is wild right here. Zach Taylor's on board. It's the airborne there. Wow. I mean, it reminds me of myself at Atlanta Motor Speedway in the Cup Series when I went off-roading through the front stretch, getting loose off of 4. Heck of a drive there. It's when the grass meets the pavement, and that's when you see the front end of this Ford Mustang get off the ground. Here's Nathaniel Mon getting hooked, obviously, with the wreck happening, getting run over, things like that. Again, though, I want to see if we can get the on board for that 85 car because he was a mere inches away for having his race over because he's already had to use his fast repair from the previous yellow flag. So Gregory Joyner right here, I mean, this happens right in front of him in his lap, and he's able to miss it all right here.
And what a job, Jake. You know his spotters yelling at him the whole time, telling him, you need to go middle, middle, middle. And he's just fortunate that he doesn't get run over from behind, and Aaron Gurwitz is able to miss it to the inside as well. And Jake, you know, we went almost the entire race without a single caution flag, and we've now had 2 in the last 10 laps. So caution's definitely starting to breed those cautions here, buddy. And these guys all involved in that first one are going to come down to their to the service of their crews and use that fast repair. And Jake, I tell you what, normally we'd call up the leader in a situation like this, but why don't we take a look and see if we can't get Greg Joyner up here in the booth, in the Speed Racing Network booth, so he can tell us what he saw exactly on that wreck here, buddy.
Well, let's go ahead and get Greg up here in the booth.
Greg Joyner, this is Dean Brummett and Jake Rowell up in the Speed Racing Network booth. Do you have a copy?
Yes, sir, I do. How y'all doing?
Oh, we're doing good, buddy. Jake was more impressed with you missing that wreck than I think anybody, than he's even been impressed with me winning last week at Richmond. So, Jake, I tell you what, I know that you wanted to ask Greg a few questions. I'll turn it over to you, buddy.
Yeah, Greg, you know, we see the paint scheme. Obviously, we know we appreciate the acknowledgement to us up in the booth, and you know, obviously you left the name off, Sean Griffith as well, but you know, just take us through what just happened right in front of you. You know, I know you used that first fast repair from that previous yellow.
Yeah, man. Let me just say this: my heart rate had to have been over 180. I saw somebody get turned out, and it happened so quick. It's hard to recall what happened until you go back and watch the replay. But I saw somebody get turned, and it's hard to check up because you got people behind you, you know, full throttle. And I went low and somehow squeezed through, and I was still getting jacked up by somebody behind me, but wound up keeping it straight. So we're going to restart P4 here, so we'll see what happens.
Well, buddy, I know it was definitely exciting to watch the onboard here, and you know, we saw cars to your inside, cars to your outside, and sometimes when it comes to these plate races, you just need a little bit of luck to get through to the end. And I don't know if you've used all your luck up here yet, driver 85, but like I said, running that Dell Jr. paint scheme this evening, I think there might be a little more magic left before the end of this thing. So we'll get you back down here to your team, let you get that heart rate down just a little bit, and get ready to send it skyrocketing again here for a green-white checker.
All right, I appreciate it, guys. Hopefully I'm talking to y'all after the race.
Hey, well, we look forward to it if we are, buddy.
Thank you.
Well, there you have it, Jake. The driver of the 85.
Pretty
Greg
calm
Joyner.
for a dude that just saw, you know, his chances of winning this race go right in front of his eyes.
I know, if his heart rate was 185 and he was talking to us that
I'm
calm.
understanding why we just got the white flag here.
I'm not entirely certain, Jake. Do we have some issues here? Let's take a look and see.
Yeah, Dean, I think there might have been. I think there.
Well, Jake, it's hard to make us speechless, but we're checking with race control right now to see what's going on. So for the fans at home, please stand by as we try to decipher what exactly is going on here.
Yeah, I think might have just been might have been a glitch or something, Dean, or just, you know, something here. But admin has just called that this is going to be the white flag. This race is gonna end.
Well, Jake, that is definitely interesting. Usually we have green-white checkers here in the Speed Racing Network series. So not entirely certain what had happened tonight. Maybe a memo that we had missed for a potential rule change. But it looks like here that after this one, Jovi Sagiped looks like he may very well be crossing the line here as the winner in just about another mile.
Yep, and this is going to be the race right here. So, you know, you never like to see it end under yellow, but circumstances show, and you know.
Yeah,
so Dean, Jovi Sagiped is going to win this race. You know, under yellow flag, coming to the checker this time by. So
yeah. Yeah, Jake, and there's going to be some, there's going to be some controversy after this race, to say the very least. But sometimes with it, there's things that we miss, and the checkered flag is going to be raised high here. Driver number 3 is, as in real life has happened many times here, the 3 car is going to go to victory lane here at Talladega. Jovi Sagiped's going to win the Talladega Days 160.
Absolutely, and that's going to be
a little bit of carnage
right
behind him, Jake. A little bit of carnage back behind here. So, man, Jake, we got to see a little bit of everything here tonight. And while we didn't get to see the caution-free race, I believe here we just saw the first SRN race to end without a green-white checker. So, hey, we still get a little bit of history to our names here, buddy.
Hey, and that's the thing. Things happen, especially on technology. I mean, it is what it is. Some guys are going to be upset. Some guys are going to be thrilled. But, at the end of the day, man, it's no different than lagging out of the race, falling through, or, getting wrecked and, having no faster pairs. So same thing can happen in real racing. You blow a motor, break apart, it is what it is. You move on to the next week and you try to make up the points and go for next week at Kansas. But right now, Dean, winner of the race is going to be Jovi Salgiped in that 3 car. 32 with Troy Techmeyer in second, so it's a 1-2 finish for RSR. Sometimes, Dean, you just take them how you can get them.
Yeah, buddy. Sometimes you got to be good. Sometimes you just got to get lucky. And looks like tonight, luck was definitely on the side of the 3 cars. So, Jake, we're still deciphering through a few things here just to see if this race is official. And like I said, at this point, though, yep, we have the call. This race is official. Jovi Sagiped is your winner here at Talladega, Jake. Well, Jake, as is tradition, I believe you're going to see these RSR cars come down here and burn it down. I know you as the owner are pretty excited, but for the fans at home, we, like I said, not quite the finish we were all expecting. I mean, hey, it even caught you and I off guard here, buddy.
Yeah, as soon as I saw it, it was like, whoa, what's going on? It kind of made me wonder if the time limit was running out for some reason. That's kind of just how it works in road racing, and things like that. So here we go. We're going to see the 3 and the 85 side by side here. Going to let Jovi Sagiped burn it down. It's going to be our winner of the race. I mean, Jovi Sagiped finished second at Daytona Oval, I believe, behind his teammate Ryan Dukem. So, RSR is going to bring it home in victory lane. The 3 car is going to burn it down for winning the race, playoff week number 1, Dean. I mean, it's a good way to start it off.
Yeah, Jake, great finish there by Jovi Sagiped, and we're still just kind of going through, deciphering the final results here. So just as soon as we have them all here for you, we will get them up here on your screen. But, great run for the team championship for RSR here this evening.
Yeah, and obviously here we go. We'll run through the finishing order. First place is going to be Jovi Sagiped in that 3 car. So, being in the playoffs, getting the win, it's a great feeling. His teammate, second place, is going to be Troy Techmeyer in the 32 for Roel Smith Racing. Third place is going to be Aaron Gurwitz in the 09 for Rev Racing. Fourth is going to be Gregory Joyner in the 85 for Bronco Motorsports. And bringing it home in the top 5, it's going to be Mike Lepicki for Tank Racing.
Yeah, Jake, and behind that, you're going to have Josh Siegfried there. Great run for him for Red Racing in 6th. Danny Dow for Team SRN in 7th. Bo Tiffany for Team SRN in 8th. Devin Zimmerman for Tank Racing there in 9th. Josh Marcy in 10th for RSR. Derek DeSilva for Tank Racing in 11th. Dustin Scruggs in 12th for RSR. Rhett Tucker there in 13th for Bronco Motorsports. Daniel Keith Jr. In the 23 car for Team SRN. Daniel Bowder unfortunately got caught up in that final wreck there, Jake, back to 15th. Emerson Ardon there in 16th. Marshall Stanley in 17th. Nathaniel Mon in 18th. Stan Hausman in 19th. And Zach Taylor rounding out your top 20 here at Talladega.
Yeah, so what a show we had. We had such a green flag run, then some yellow flags to end it. Obviously, it ended under yellow flag, and that's the way it goes sometimes. So we're going to bring our third-place driver up to the booth, Dean. It's going to be Aaron Gurwitz for Rev Racing.
Well, Aaron Gurwitz, this is Dean Brummett and Jake Roel up here in the Speed Racing Network booth. We got to see your new segment at the top of the show, and tonight, buddy, you get to bring home a podium finish at Talladega. How's it going this evening?
Oh, it's going really good tonight, Dean.
Well, that's awesome to hear, Aaron. We were a little confused here. We saw that there was just a little bit of complications there at the end of the race. So just walk us through kind of seeing that last caution and then going through seeing the white and checkered come out a little earlier than expected.
The caution came out, and I saw cars every which way, and I saw a hole, and we were just taking the hole. And then with this whole confusion, I'm like, we're still pacing, and we're coming to the white. I'm like, I don't really think it set in that I had a podium finish until like after the checkered flew in that last lap going around. It really sunk in then.
Well, buddy, we got to see you come home here for Rev Racing. We saw a lot of awesome racing out here on track this evening. Anybody that you'd like to thank before we let you get back down here to your team?
I'd just like to thank my family. I know they're probably watching right now, and I'd just like to thank a few of my sponsors. We got Sparkle and Shine, huge part of what we do. Next Egg, Napa, Butt Kickers, Griffiths CPA, Silverback Tech Solutions, and the whole team at Rev Racing are really, really awesome.
Absolutely, Gurwitz. Well, congrats on the P3. It's kind of the same trend we saw last season in Mid-South Madness Season 2. You were very consistent in the regular season, then the playoffs happened, and all of a sudden, man, it was like a flip of the switch. So, I expect big things out of you next week at Kansas Speedway, buddy. So enjoy that top 3, and we'll see you next week, Aaron.
All right, thank you, Jake.
And Jake, there you have it, our third place finisher, Aaron Gurwitz. And Jake, I tell you what, someone that I don't recall being up here in the Speed Racing Network booth yet this season, your driver, number 32, Troy Teichmeyer. Troy, this is Dean Brummett and the boss man, Jake Rowell, up here in the Speed Racing Network booth. How you doing this evening, buddy? Troy, this is Dean Brummett and Jake Rowell up in the Speed Racing Network booth. Do you have a copy?
Yeah, don't know. Maybe he stepped away, Dean. You never know. Could have went to get a drink or use the restroom, something like that. So we'll see if we can't get Troy, back after we speak with our winner. I know he's going to be amped up. He loves these plate races. We're going to get Jovi Sagiped. Jovi, this is Dean Brummett and Jake Rowell in the SRM booth, buddy. You come into Dega. You've been hyped about it all week long, buddy, and you get it done one way or another. How you feeling, man?
I mean, all I gotta say is, sheesh, pulled one off finally. Thank God.
Yeah, buddy. We saw a lot of crazy racing here tonight, and we saw the checkered flag fall a little earlier than what we were expecting tonight. When you came down under the line and you were expecting to go back green, white, checker racing, and you saw the white flag come out, what was going through your mind right there?
I was like, this is wrong, but this is too good to be true, so I'm just gonna go around back for the checkered, hopefully.
Well, Jovi, you got it done here at Talladega. We saw some awesome moves there towards the end. One of the big things that we were watching is we saw you and Dustin and Josh all kind of line up on the inside there behind Rhett Tucker, kind of pushing him around there towards the end of this race. Had this race stayed green, did you guys have the fuel to make it to the end, or was there still going to need to be another pit stop?
Oh, we were literally, if just before that wreck, we were gonna pit that lap. We weren't gonna make it whatsoever. We were trying to save as much as we could. I was like quarter throttle the whole time, and we just weren't gonna make it regardless of the situation.
Well, there you have it, Jake.
Jovi. I gotta say, man, when you were up front, I was starting to think every possible way you could lose it. It just made me think back to Martinsville when Dean and I watched you sit there and spin the tires on a late restart and throw the win away there, man. So obviously, man, props to you for winning this tonight here at Talladega. We call you the king in our Discord on Plate Track, so congrats on the win. And, before we let you go, Jovi, going to give you this time to, thank anyone or any sponsors, anything like that.
I would like to thank Jason and Sean for always putting this on and all the sponsorships. And I would say thank you to you, Jake, for RSR. I became way faster. Shout out to the boys, Jacob, Jason, I think. I don't know who else. Scotty Yachty Yachty, that's who I forgot. My boy Shane Good too, and shout out to Ryan. He couldn't make it, but this one's for him.
Absolutely. So we'll get you back down to RSR. I know you and Troy are going to be amped up to finish this thing 1-2. So enjoy it, buddy, and we'll see you next week at Kansas Speedway.
Can't wait. Later, boys.
Well, Jake, there you have it. Our winner, Jovi Sagiped. I can't believe he forgot Josh when he was going through victory lane. But, man, just an awesome job by him here this evening. And next week we go to our second round of the playoffs at Kansas Speedway. We're going to mimic the real life name of the race, the Bushy McBush Light 150 at Kansas Speedway next Thursday, April 29th at 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern here for Speed Racing Network.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting race. And, before we move on to this next thing, I want to see if we can't try our second place driver, one more time. He was talking in race chat. He said he could hear us, but something might have been up. So we'll give it one more shot to see if Troy Techmeyer can hear us up here in the SRM booth. Troy, this is Dean Brummett and Jake Roel, buddy. How you feeling after bringing it home second place at Talladega?
Oh, man, it's about time I had a good finish, huh?
Absolutely, man. We saw you kind of taking the conservative there. You were up in the front pack all race long, but you were kind of just hanging out, in about 10th place. And then towards that, green flag stop, you got yourself to the inside line with your teammates. What was just kind of going through your mindset when the 60-lap race was, clicking green flags, lap after lap, and all of a sudden it looked like we were going to go green the whole way.
Yeah, we were all worried about running out of fuel there, so a lot of us were trying to save, and Jovi was up there, so I was trying to get up there with him, and we had a plan. I don't know what happened to green light checker. We were debating between a couple of plans of either blocking or getting him ahead of me and me pushing him, but man, it was fun.
Well, Troy, we got to finally get you pulled up here into the Speed Racing Network booth, and awesome job here this evening, buddy. Before we let you get back down here to the team, anybody that you'd like to thank here at Talladega this evening? Troy, do you still have a copy with us, buddy? Well, it looks like we've lost Troy again, so we're going to go ahead and get him moved back down here to the RSR team. But awesome finish there for him this evening. And Jake, I tell you, last night we saw an awesome end to the truck race and awesome into the Xfinity race here tonight. But Sunday night, buddy, we get to go back to war here for our first round of the playoffs at Talladega.
Yeah, it's going to be nuts. Sunday night, it's going to happen April 25th, 8 p.m. Central Time. 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, buddy. It's I don't know about you, but I'm ready to go. It's Talladega Superspeedway. We're going to be going for 200 miles. It's obviously the first week of our playoffs, so with no fast repairs, Dean, you know what that means. Avoid every single wreck at all costs, because if you're in it, man, you're shot at winning it and having a great start to the playoffs. It all goes through Talladega Superspeedway.
Yeah, buddy. And like I said, this definitely being the wild card that it is, it'll be interesting to see the varying strategies just like we saw tonight. But Jake, another great broadcast, another awesome week with you here. So for Dean Brummett and Jake Roel here with the Speed Racing Network, we just want to remind you, as always, to go faster.